Russia's victory at Pokrovsk turns into a total nightmare. When Russian officials and pro-Kremlin media first declared a victory at Pokrovsk, it was presented as a decisive moment in the war. The town, strategically located in Ukraine's Donetsk region, was portrayed as a major success story for Moscow's ongoing campaign. Russian state television showed images of advancing soldiers, waving flags, and claimed that Ukrainian defenses were collapsing. For many in Russia, it seemed like a long-awaited turning point that could boost morale after months of bloody fighting. However, the reality on the ground has been drastically different. What initially appeared to be a triumph has quickly turned into a nightmare. Reports from independent sources, military analysts, and even some Russian soldiers suggest that the so-called victory came at a staggering cost. Entire battalions were reportedly devastated, supply lines overstretched, and morale among troops has sunk to new lows. Ukrainian counterattacks have pushed Russian forces back in several areas, leaving Moscow's claims of victory looking hollow. The main problem lies in logistics. Pokrovsk, while strategically valuable, is far from Russia's main supply bases. Getting fuel, ammunition, and medical support to the front lines has been a nightmare. Russian convoys have been targeted by Ukrainian drones and artillery, further crippling their ability to hold newly captured ground. Soldiers at the front reportedly lack basic equipment, food, and even proper medical care. In some cases, reinforcements were promised but never arrived, leaving exhausted units to face Ukrainian counteroffensives alone. Another factor is the resilience of Ukraine's forces. Despite suffering heavy losses, Ukrainian troops have managed to regroup and launch strong counterattacks around Pokrovsk. Western-supplied weapons, including precision artillery and drones, have played a major role in halting Russia's momentum. Videos shared online show Ukrainian strikes destroying Russian armored vehicles, supply trucks, and even command posts. These counterattacks have forced Russian units to retreat from several positions, undermining Moscow's original narrative of liberation. The human cost has been devastating. Independent estimates suggest that thousands of Russian soldiers were either killed or wounded in the Pokrovsk offensive. Hospitals in Russian-occupied territories are reportedly overwhelmed, with injured soldiers lying in corridors due to lack of space. Families back in Russia are beginning to question why their sons were sent to die in what increasingly looks like a failed gamble. Even Russian military bloggers, who usually support the war, have begun criticizing the leadership for poor planning and reckless strategy. For President Vladimir Putin, the situation is politically dangerous. He had framed the capture of Pokrovsk as a symbol of Russia's unstoppable advance. Instead, it has become a reminder of the army's weaknesses, lack of preparation, and the harsh reality of modern warfare. Each setback erodes public confidence in the Kremlin's narrative of inevitable victory. The gap between propaganda and battlefield reality has never been clearer. Internationally, the Pokrovsk fiasco has reinforced the West's belief that Russia cannot achieve a decisive military victory. NATO officials have pointed out that even when Russia achieves temporary gains, it struggles to hold them. This strengthens arguments in favor of continued support for Ukraine, as Western leaders believe Russian forces can be pushed back with enough weapons and aid. In this sense, Russia's nightmare at Pokrovsk may actually become Ukraine's opportunity. Looking forward, the battle for Pokrovsk serves as a grim example of how fragile Russia's military successes really are. It shows that initial victories can quickly turn into defeats when logistics fail, morale collapses, and the enemy adapts. While Moscow may continue to claim success, the reality is that its forces are stretched thin, suffering heavy casualties, and struggling to maintain momentum. In conclusion, Russia's so-called victory at Pokrovsk has become a symbol of overconfidence, poor planning, and the brutal